That the producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
And there is no resolution in sight for the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Snow White 2025 at the box office. This is exactly why Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is in pure panic mode over not just the Rachel Zegler backlash, but the entire backlash surrounding this movie in general.
Following months of controversy, industry fallout, and unrelenting fan backlash, Disney has formally announced that it will reboot Snow White once more. This announcement follows the highly criticized version directed by Rachel Zegler, which many now consider to be one of the studio's biggest failures in years. Speaking at a private media event, Disney executives presented the new remake as a correction, with a revived homage to traditional narrative, indicating their goal to restore public trust and mend the studio's tense relationship with its multi-generational fan base.
There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
At first positioned as a contemporary feminist reworking of the 1937 original, the Rachel Zegler production attracted notice for its daring deviations from the original.
After one hell of a PR tour, Disney's live-action Snow White is finally, I know, you were wondering.
Fans felt that social media was ablaze with criticism after Zegler made remarks that many took to be disparaging of the original's legacy, calling the prince character irrelevant, and the awkward romance viral talking points that sparked widespread debate and ultimately resentment, even though the studio thought it was forging a progressive path forward.
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress.
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Wow. The ego on this girl is ridiculous. Wow.
Early test screenings received lukewarm responses, but the full impact wasn't realized until the trailer was released. Fan communities, nostalgic viewers, and film analysts swiftly united in frustration over the drastic changes, according to internal Disney sources, who said the negative reaction stunned executives.
And you have parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this is supposed to be a place where magic happens, and all you're doing is indoctrinating kids, and you're having this person be the poster child of the Democratic Party.
In an attempt to disassociate itself from the fallout, Disney has announced a new Snow White project that will start production in late 2025. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was persistent hashtags criticizing the creative direction that trended. For weeks, Disney's PR teams reportedly went into overdrive trying to contain the damage.
Look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI, feminist agenda.
Disney executives believe that a well-executed reboot could redeem the title and reconnect with audiences who once enjoyed it. Interestingly, insiders say that the new version will feature a more traditional narrative arc closely following the 1937 plot while making room for subtle updates. This is in contrast to what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI feminist agenda. The company has been under increasing pressure to justify its recent wave of live-action remakes, many of which have been met with declining critical and financial success, with the Snow White brand at risk of becoming permanently tarnished.
Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie, and she's the main character and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character?
One producer claims that these adjustments will be respectful rather than revisionist, with the goal being to reintroduce classic ideas with contemporary elegance rather than to fix what isn't broken. This abrupt change in tone contrasts with the prior attempt, which was generally viewed as being too eager to undermine the basis of the initial casting. Disney has refrained from commenting on specifics, but rumors are already circulating.
She destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie.
In contrast to the previous movie, when off-screen remarks took center stage, the studio is reportedly looking for a lead actress who exemplifies classic Hollywood beauty, with an emphasis on charm, relatability, and voice skill, according to unnamed people close to the production. According to reports, this endeavor will involve stricter media training guidelines to guarantee that messaging stays in line with the concepts of the movie.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
Leaked documents from earlier in the year showed internal conflicts between Disney's marketing, creative, and public relations departments during the release of the Zegler movie. These misalignments resulted in inconsistent messaging and a promotional campaign that frequently seemed to contradict itself, which is why the studio has refocused on telling stories cohesively.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
To avoid a recurrence of similar problems, the new Snow White reboot is being produced under closer supervision. The reputation of the movie isn't the only thing at risk. Products associated with the prior Snow White release did not perform as well. Only a few weeks following their introduction, big box shops drastically reduced the prices of toys and clothing.
We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarves. So we'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make.
And internal reporting in reaction to these worries, analysts believe Disney can't afford another commercial setback associated with one of its core properties. The company's consumer products sector reports millions of unsold inventory. The director, whose identity will be revealed in the coming weeks, has experience working on both animated and live-action movies with international appeal. And the screenwriter, according to early reports, is known for striking a balance between sentimentality and compelling character arcs. Disney has chosen a new group of creatives to lead the reboot. In every way that Disney altered the story, it changed it for the worse. The business anticipates that this collaboration will give the new edition depth, heart, and universal resonance.
You could look at the fact that she has been sabotaging this film for years at this point, all in this sort of pursuit of entitlement.
Although the plot will mostly follow the original, there will undoubtedly be some updates. According to sources, the forest animals that fans like from the original will return with improved animation that combines computer-generated imagery and practical effects. The music will once again play a major part, with new songs interwoven with restored classics like Someday My Prince Will Come in Hi-Ho. The dwarfs will also be carefully redesigned, avoiding the controversies surrounding their deletion or redesign in the previous movie.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
Disney's decision to bring in legacy animators and consultants who worked on earlier princess projects, many of whom contributed to the visual and narrative identity of the Renaissance-era films, to provide advice on tone, pacing, and emotional consistency is arguably the most notable change. According to reports, Disney's executives think that re-establishing a connection with the company's creative heritage is crucial to restoring goodwill. The initial press announcement for the initiative had a very modest tone, admitting past errors without specifying specifics.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Although it was veiled, the statement said, "This new chapter of Snow White is rooted in that appreciation and in our dedication to telling timeless tales for today's audiences."
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
Disney acknowledged the significance of paying tribute to the stories that helped shape the company into what it is today. Rachel Zegler, who was once praised for her breakthrough performance in West Side Story, has mostly remained silent since the announcement of the reboot. Last year, she became the focus of an online firestorm as criticism of the remake grew, and her media appearances, which were meant to encourage empowerment, were widely perceived as tone-deaf or dismissive. Although no formal statement has been issued, Zegler later stated that her remarks were taken out of context, but the outrage had already begun to take root, and her removal from the upcoming movie is anticipated. According to sources, Disney wants to start over both on and off-screen. It's unclear if Zegler will make a public statement, but for now, it seems like she's removing herself from the conversation completely, which further reflects Disney's wish to keep the focus on the project rather than on specific people. On internet, forums supporters are expressing cautious optimism in the meanwhile. While some people are still doubtful, others are thrilled about the possibility of a reset. One user wrote, "Give me the songs, the romance, the animation style forest, I'll be there on opening night if they do it right this time." The announcement has spurred discussions about redemption legacy and what it means to return to a story as sacred as Snow White. Disney anticipates that improved attitude will result in more confidence and ticket sales. The movie is anticipated to go into pre-production by late 2025, with a spring 2027 theatrical release anticipated. To build anticipation, marketing materials are being planned with a lengthy lead-up that includes teaser art, soundtrack previews, and behind-the-scenes documentaries. The studio is also in negotiations with Disney Parks to reintroduce Snow White, theming across a few attractions prior to the film's premiere. It's unclear if this strategy will succeed where the last one failed, but one thing is certain: Disney is not willing to let Snow White fade under the shadow of even one mistake. As work gets underway, executives are reportedly staying hyper-focused on consistency, cohesion, and emotional resonance. Everything from costume and casting to lighting design and score is being carefully reviewed by multiple departments to ensure alignment with the studio's long-standing values and modern artistic goals. This is a reputational restoration effort for a studio that once defined the fairy tale genre. If the new version strikes the right balance, it could remind the world why Snow White was the film that started it all. Disney seems to understand that genuine storytelling magic cannot be replaced by corporate polish, and for Snow White to succeed, it must feel like a homecoming. Even Disney's harshest critics concur that if any movie can restore the studio's damaged reputation, it's this one. The stakes are high, both monetarily and symbolically. Reimagining Snow White isn't just a creative choice, it's a referendum on the company's capacity to adapt, reflect, and listen. The question now isn't whether Disney can make another version, but rather whether the studio can regain the trust of an audience still waiting for the most equitable one of all.